Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome. That, as they say, is that. Marvel Comics. Let's go ahead and get started. Just in time for the 4th of July, well, actually just a couple weeks after the 4th of July, comes Captain America Omnibus Volume 5. I'm the Uncanny Omar, you're watching Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and that's exactly what I'm going to give you an advanced look at. Captain America Omnibus Volume 5, with creators like Roger Mckensie, Roger Stern, John Byrne, just to name a few. So let's go ahead and get started. Before going any further, a big thank you to the folks at Marvel Comics for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on July 21st or 22nd, depending on where you get your books. What we are looking at here is the Frank Robbins cover with Terry Austin on inks. This is the one that's going to be available everywhere, so the standard edition cover. On the left-hand side is your direct market cover supplied by John Byrne. That one is only available at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, bdcosmos.com, kingscomics.com, as well as comicsbugle.com, crookandbanditcomics.com, forbiddenplanet.com, readcomics.com, and panelbound books, as well as your local comic book store. Everything underneath the dust jacket is the same. So let's bring it back to this. Roger Mckensie, Roger Stern, our pal Sal Buscema, and John Byrne. Man, we are looking at a couple different eras of Captain America. Marvel Omnibus, Captain America, and the creators again, with that image of Cap, Volume 5, and then the back of the book, featuring the many covers of the comics that are collected in here. ISBN, love that it's rated T for teen, $125. Now, before we take the dust jacket off, let's go ahead and put it on the shelf. Right after Volume 4, of course, but before the Mark Gruenwald era. However, we do need a Volume 6 or a J.M. DeMatteis and Mike Zeck omnibus, and then of course we also need a Mark Gruenwald Omnibus Volume 4. But oh my gosh, just the unbroken run of Captain America that we will have, outside of course the Golden Age stuff, and the stuff from pre-Silver Age, so like the 50s. It's just going to be insane once those two books come out. So let's go ahead and take the dust jacket off. And Captain America soldiers into the 80s. And the creators over here. This book is due out everywhere in the book market and in the direct market on July 21st. So a couple weeks after July 4th. The spine of the book underneath the dust jacket and the shield. Although we do get a glimpse of that original S.H.I.E.L.D. in here. So let's go ahead and open it up and talk about the type of stories collected in here while looking at the artwork, looking at the extras, and then, of course, the build of the book. Okay, opening the omnibus up. There's your end sheets and Captain America Volume 5. Oh man, I love that. There's some great covers in here. That Punisher Captain America cover is one of my favorites. A couple of my favorite Captain America covers come from this omnibus. The credits over here, like Roger Mckensie, Roger Stern, Sal Buscema, John Byrne, George Tuska, Frank Springer, Rich Buckler, Carmine Infantino, Mark Evanier, Chris Claremont, Don Glut, inkers like Pablo Marcos, as well as Frank Giacoia, Mike Esposito, lettering like Joe Rosen and Diana Albers, colorists like George Russo's, as well as Phil Rachelson, and unfortunately, an issue here and there that is uncredited. table of contents where you're going to find each and every one of these particular stories, when they were released, and what they're collecting here are 3 different masterworks plus some What If comics. That's the cover. Oh man, I love that cover. Introduction here by Don Glut for the Marvel Masterworks, and then the introduction 2.0 by Roger Stern, talking about their times and the importance of writing Captain America. Collected in here is Captain America 215 to 260, as well as the Incredible Hulk 232, Marvel Premiere 49, and material from What If 5 and 26. The book has 1,048 pages, retailing for $125. We start off with this Roy Thomas story right here. So this is coming right after, let me show you, the ending of Jack Kirby's era. So we have a kind of a fill-in issue by George Tuska and Pablo Marcos doing the art in here. Kind of reminiscent of Jack Kirby at that time. But it's a retelling of the origin with a couple of things modernized of Captain America. And talking about the Invaders, because as you know, Roy Thomas was a huge fan of that. This issue right here is a reprint issue. Reprinting issues of Strange Tale 114, just with a different cover. And this page right here. And then we jump to this. So it is still the Captain America and the Falcon era. And yeah, we kick it off with Roy Thomas retelling the origin of Captain America. We have this team up here with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Falcon still playing a minimal but important role. Eventually you won't see him, the letter pages all intact. But what ends up happening is that Captain America will be fighting off against a bigger, badder Captain America. That's who he's fighting through these few issues right here. I think they were still trying to figure out exactly what to do with the character after Kirby kind of just up and left. But this is a better, faster, stronger version of Captain America. Also isn't really Captain America. So it's like fighting a giant version of yourself. And lots of appearances early on by characters from S.H.I.E.L.D. There are some backup stories featuring the Falcon and later on other characters. Yes, this fight right here with the bigger Captain America. What is this guy's name? Captain Avenger? Is that it? Yeah, Captain Avenger. Which is Rick Jones, of course. Featuring backup stories from that. Fighting the Monument of Abraham Lincoln. And if you think those stories get weird, there's a couple of other weirder stories that are told through here. This is the Animus fight. And this is when Captain America doesn't recognize the face in the mirror. And however, some of the villains do. The Avengers don't really recognize who he is. It's Nick Fury's story again. Nick Fury playing a big part in the beginning of the arc through here. Also showing the return of Red Skull and his many minions that happen to look a lot like Red Skull. It is nice to see a lot of the Avengers through here during this particular era. It shows just how close the Marvel Universe is. And speaking of close, we have the Constrictor, who had last shown up in the pages of the Incredible Hulk, but now looking a little bit different and also donning the adamantium what the hell? Tentacles, I guess, is what they're called? Constricting, whatever they're called, yes. Adamantium was just a popular thing. They must have had it like a dime a dozen back then. But again, tie-ins with, guest starring a lot of the Avengers. This is the fight with the Incredible Hulk. One of 2 fights through here of the Incredible Hulk. And these are some of the characters that you'll be seeing through these pages, like Jim Wilson. But when a new writer would come on, you would see a change in the Jim Salicrup doing this intro right here, in the status quo. Now, this is when Falcon ends up leaving the book, and it just becomes Captain America all over again. This is him fighting a bunch of races, like, what is it, the White Dragon. And that story arc actually goes for a little bit. The team up with Daredevil, which of course at first is a fight. The return of Dr. Faustus, a character that had appeared earlier. He has come back for this team up with Daredevil through these pages. Then we have the Marvel Premiere story in here, so I'm glad they decided to put this in here, and this is the Falcon story. So Falcon, again, playing a big part in Captain America's life, but kind of rolling on his own with his new costume that he has. And then another flashback issue of Captain America, set in the past and modern day, and how it affects modern day. And I promise I'm not going to talk about each and every single issue. But what really stands out about this omnibus is the fact that we have this era, Roger Mckensie, Rich Buckler, and also, of course, our pal Sal, Don Glut. Eventually, you'll have Roger Stern come in and start writing the stories. And he starts writing it and just changes a couple of things, like introducing new characters. Here's his introduction right here from 2021. Comes from the Masterworks. And we have the Roger Stern and the John Byrne era. So immediately there is a change in the tone, in the way that the stories are being told, and the supporting cast that is going to be through these particular books, including the introduction of Bernadette Rosenthal. This is one of my favorite moments, is when he's with S.H.I.E.L.D. and he ends up finding his original shield from World War II. And he has to use it for a little bit to fight off against Baron Strucker. But as he finds out, it's not really Baron Strucker, but the Machinesmith is up to no good. Dragon Man has a fight with him. Again, Nick Fury and Dum Dum Dugan playing a part in the story. And eventually this leads into a decision that Captain America perhaps should be running for president. And man, this run is one, not just one of my favorites, but a lot of people's favorite run. It was short-lived, and this does go past the run of Roger Stern, Bernie and Cap starting a relationship, because Steve Rogers has to have a life. It goes past the run of Roger Stern and John Byrne. John Byrne co-plotting a lot of the stories in here. As a matter of fact, in the introduction by Roger Stern, he'll tell you some of the parts that John Byrne was like, hey, we should do this and change this. The team up with Batroc, of all people, against Mr. Hyde. And then we have the reintroduction of someone named Baron Blood, plus the Union Jack story, which to me is a beautiful send-off to that character that when I read this for the first time, I knew nothing about. Now we have the anniversary issue. This comes from issue 255, which is the variant cover. And it's a retelling again with some modernization of Captain America's origin, but where he went past those Golden Age issues. And then that is the final issue by Roger Stern and John Byrne. And we get some Bill Mantlo and Gene Colan stories in here. We get a Chris Claremont story, and then we get the new, this is the Mike W. Barr story. We get the new penciler, and that is Mike Zeck. So Chris Claremont joins for a little bit with David Michelinie, and Mike Zeck takes over the book. And Zeck's art is just phenomenal. I cannot wait for the next omnibus, because I'm a huge fan of Mike Zeck and what he brought to the book. He brought that energy, kind of reminiscent a little bit of what John Byrne was doing. I believe Paul Neary inked a lot of the stuff in the next book, if I'm not mistaken. That is one of my other favorite covers right here from 260. Captain America goes behind bars. And then we have the What If issue. What if Captain America hadn't vanished during World War II? And there's another one that is in here. I think, actually, I just passed it up. What if Captain America had been elected president? Based on that story that Roger Stern and John Byrne worked on. I will say it never ends well for our characters. And then we have the extras, like the house ads. And this is from the Marvel Comics Index by Jim Steranko. The calendar from 81. And some original art here. Layouts here by Dave Cockrum for issue 227. And original art by our pal Sal. There's the cover to 241. Man, I love that cover. Some great covers through this omnibus. And not just the John Byrne ones. Pencil art right here by John Byrne. The time of the Captain America exit, Roger Stern had plotted the next issue, and John Byrne had penciled the first 6 pages. What could have been, right? So issue 257 here. And unused pencil art. The trade paperback of War and Remembrance. And then the outro here from War and Remembrance. 1990. That's early for a trade paperback. And then your end sheets. Now, as far as the build of this, 1,048 pages, sewn binding. This one is printed at the iMac printer. So let me just show you. Let's look at my favorite cover. Probably my favorite one from, I don't know, it's a tough one. But there is a little bit of bleed through happening in this book. But it is using the new masters from the Masterworks, or I guess the latest masters from the Masterworks. And I wanted to look at the way that it lays over. So there's minimal gutter loss happening. This is at the very beginning, but again, just a little bit of bleed through. But that's Captain America Omnibus Volume 5. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $250 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
That was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if this is the way you're collecting Captain America, if you're hoping we get a Captain America Omnibus Volume 6 that takes us right into the Mark Gruenwald era, or if you want that missing gap, Mark Gruenwald Omnibus Volume 4, taking us to the Mark Waid era. Any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.